Welcome to another episode of Just Cuz, the podcast where two cousins talk about things they love.
Just Cuz. And today we are talking about season 4 of The Umbrella Academy.
The final season.
The final season, the arguably long-awaited final season.
It is now done, which I will confidently say is better than the comic. It's all wrapped up. You could watch it all. And Sasha, what did you think of this last season?
Oh, okay. Well, first of all, I'm going to say how I feel about the Umbrella Academy as a whole. I absolutely adore the Umbrella Academy. It has, for years, been one of my favorite shows. It has such a weird and chaotic energy that I personally treasure, and it is the kind of thing that is perfect for me. I love superheroes, I love strangeness, I love dance sequences, I love dysfunctional families.
And just quirky filmmaking.
Yeah. It just had everything for me. One of my favorite series of all time. Seriously, seasons 1 and 2 are absolute freaking master classes in story structure. I love season 3 as well. Season 4, I had some issues with it. I really liked it in the beginning. Do I hate it? Full stop? No. Do I hate a lot of things that it did? Yes, very much so.
So I thought that...
What did you think?
Yeah, this season... Well, as a whole, I obviously love Umbrella Academy. I don't think anything has ever met the highs of season 1. Maybe that's just because I'm remembering it with, rose-tinted glasses. I haven't seen season 2 and 3 just since they came out. I remember really liking them, but it's been kind of diminishing returns for me. Maybe I just need to rewatch them. And that's why,
you do, 'cause I just rewatched all 3 seasons before this season came out, and I told you I did it so perfectly. I didn't even need to, but I finished Umbrella Academy season 3 at 11:55 p.m.
because it was meant to be
day that the next day when Umbrella Academy season 4 was going to come out, and I was like, I only have to wait 5 minutes. This is awesome.
I even texted you the day after, and I got off work. I went home. I kind of checked Netflix, saw what to watch, and I was like, oh my god, Umbrella Academy's out. I thought it was coming out the next day. I freaked out.
And I was like, I'm already done with it.
Catch up. No, but I think if I went back, I would remember it better, but I didn't love it as much as season 1, so when I watched season 4, I didn't have as many problems with it. I thought the structure could have been fixed, and there's some side adventures that could have been just cut entirely, but we will talk about how many episodes this has, or the lack of episodes.
Okay, let's say right now.
Yeah.
This last season has 6 episodes, when all previous seasons of The Umbrella Academy has had 10 episodes. Now, a 6-episode season with 8 main characters and 8 different storylines is not something that is honestly doable. The amount of time that they had was just not... It wasn't helpful to the story they were trying to tell, to the amount of characters they had. They've always had a very specific structure where they have 10 episodes. The first 8 of those episodes jump around between storylines, between people, and the last 2 episodes of the season weave everything together. All the storylines, it tells you why they were important, why everything's happening the way it is, and all of it matters. And this season, nothing mattered until maybe the last 15 minutes of the finale.
Right.
Nothing was happening. And it was really, really frustrating. I started to get really frustrated in episode 5, and we'll talk about it. We'll fucking talk about it, okay?
Because nothing was really of consequence in the plot or the story.
Yeah.
And I feel like the plot didn't even get started, or it didn't, get into gear until episode 3, which is, halfway through the show. Or at
Right.
least that's when the characters learn about the cleanse or whatever.
Yeah. It's not okay, so let's talk about okay, so at the end of
Yes.
season 3 of the Umbrella Academy,
Mm.
the Hargreaves siblings and Lila were thrust into a new reality made by their father, Reginald Hargreaves, a different version of their father, Reginald Hargreaves. It's a new version of reality where his wife is alive and he has a huge industry and basically
Right.
rules the city. I don't know.
Yeah, he's
That's
the
what it
elite
was
now.
set up as. That's what it was set up as. That's
Mhm.
what the setup was at the end of season 3. And then the post-credit scene at the end of season 3 was of another Ben living in Seoul, Korea, and he's just like not in this season at all. Like they never mention that again. They never bring it back up.
Yeah, I completely forgot about him.
Yeah, me
he's just not there.
they just don't mention that. That was clearly a setup for something. Anyway, okay. I'll talk more about it, but later. But so the first episode of season 4 immediately jumps 6 years into the future, into the current time, 2024, because the show brings them back to 2019 as the year. That's
Right.
when the first season came out. That's the year that they were always trying to get back to, 2019. So they jump forward 6 years. They're in 2024. And their lives all suck. The first episode is called what? Like the unimaginable tragedy of getting everything you ever wanted. Something like that.
Something, yeah.
Like, and I'm like, that's hilarious. And that's a great stance to start at for the Umbrella Academy. Okay? This is all they've been wanting for some of them for years. For 5, it's been 28 straight days. But and for 45 years. But
right.
for everyone else, it's been a long time. They've been trying to get back here, and it just kind of sucks. Lila
they
and
got
Diego
their
have-
happy ending,
yeah.
but it's too mundane for them. And
Yeah.
Klaus is a
Well,
germaphobe.
They
There was a
don't
lot of
have
weird
any.
choices.
They don't have any of their powers.
Yes.
Lila and Diego have 3 kids, and they're both unhappy in their life. But they still love their kids, but they're unhappy in their life.
Right. They're great
Diego's-
parents. Well, I don't know if
Yeah.
Lila is, but Diego definitely
I
is.
think they're decent parents. I think Lila's a good parent. I just don't think that they are happy with the choices they made, not concerning the children.
Right.
They went into domestic bliss. Diego's working as a package delivery guy, and he hates it because obviously he does. Why didn't he just go try and be a cop again? I don't know.
I don't
But Lila is a stay-at-home mom, staying at home with her family, her parents who are now alive, and all of her extended family and her kids. And obviously, that is not a good idea for her. She was a time-traveling assassin for her entire life. This was not the right decision for you, Lila.
Everyone needed a little more action. Well, I mean,
yeah.
Luther didn't. He was getting plenty, but
Luther is now a stripper because he has his hot body back. He has the Tom Hooper body back. And he is not an ape man, and he is a male stripper, but he's not successful. He's living
performing
in the ruins.
for single old moms.
Yeah, on Sunday at the Sunday brunch buffet. And he is living in the ruins of their old house. Which is a condemned building. Ben this is Sparrow Academy Ben who went with them, not original flavor Ben, who went to jail for insider trading.
It's some crypto thing.
Yeah. And 5 works for the CIA wearing a fake mustache. That's super fun for him. That's a perfect job for him, honestly.
His intro as Jerome, for a second I was like, okay, did I miss something? And does he actually think he's Jerome?
Finally choose a name? What's happening?
Yeah.
But no, he works for the CIA. Allison is, for some reason now, a failed actress, even though she was a successful actress previously. I don't know why. She's a failed actress.
And to my knowledge, her successfulness had nothing to do with her powers. She was just
it definitely did have to do with her powers. There's a scene in season 1 where she's remembering all of the horrible things that she's done with her I heard a rumor power, and half of them are like, I heard a rumor I got it in one take. I heard a rumor I'm perfect for this role. Yeah. And so none of it was hard-earned success, but I thought that they were going back to a timeline where she was successful, because she had her at the end of season 1, she had her mansion in Los Angeles, and she had her husband from the 60s was there, Ray, from season 2. And I think the only reason he's not in this season is because they could not get the actor back. And I don't blame him. But now she's a failed actress living with her daughter, Claire, who's well into her teens now. And Klaus is living in their basement. Klaus, having his immortal powers revoked, is now a sober germaphobe who is absolutely terrified of everything.
He wasn't an immortal before, was he?
He absolutely wasn't. Honey, you need to rewatch the show. He was immortal. He could not die. He died. In season 3, they reveal that part of his power was not being able to die. And he dies constantly.
I mean, he does in season 1 or 2, or whenever he sees his dad. When he he dies when he sees there. God too.
Because yes, he thought originally that those were near-death experiences, but in season 3, Diego and Lila's fake child, Stan, shoots him through the heart with a harpoon gun by accident, and he dies, and he realizes, oh, those weren't near-death experiences, those were actual death experiences. I've died many times.
I did not remember that at all.
Yeah, he's like, you've died 58 times. He's like, God damn it.
Honestly, it was introduced in this season, and I was fine with it just because I was like, oh, it's a cool, I don't know, Easter egg to Misfits, if you've seen that.
Yeah, it's not that at all. He just plays the same character from Misfits. Of course I've seen Misfits, by the way. Of course.
It's almost the same show, at least the first season.
Yeah.
That's another conversation for another day.
Are pretty good, and then they go off the rails. Anyway.
But Klaus can also fly, which is from the comics, and that was fun.
Yes, but that was in previous seasons.
It was?
Sort of. It was
I missed that too.
and he floated sometimes. But it wasn't really, because in season 2, when he floated, it wasn't really him floating. It was Ben lifting him up.
Right.
Ghost Ben lifting him up.
Yeah.
But,
that was cool.
Yeah. I think the flying is new to this season, but I did see an interview with Robert, and he was like, oh, Klaus learned how to fly last season. And I was like, did he? I don't remember that.
Okay.
So maybe I misremember. But
I mean, everyone kind of
maybe he misremembered.
New-ish powers.
Yeah. Hold on. Wait, did we go through all the siblings? No, Victor owns a bar in Canada and is now a player, which is hilarious to me.
They introduce his character by saying, like, oh, he's gone through every girl in town. He's gone through
every woman in town. And I'm like, good on you, Victor. That doesn't seem like you at all, but sure. Yeah. So, yeah, he moved as far away from his family as possible, which, understandable.
Just get away from all that toxicity, you know?
Yeah, and none of them have their powers anymore, which is, okay, interesting. Where I thought they were going to go with this season was, because they showed the Ben in Seoul last season, I thought they were going to be like, oh, they all exist out there somewhere, but they were never adopted by Reginald Hargreaves. So there's going to be 2 versions of them, and their versions that are original to this timeline are going to have the powers, and the ones that we know don't have their powers.
Right.
And that's what I thought was going to happen.
Yeah. Something like that would have been better, because I also thought that...
I'm sorry. Not because I'm smart, but that's because that's what the setup was. That's what they set up. They showed it. They showed Ben living in Seoul, Korea, which is where his mother is from. So obviously that's what I thought was going to happen.
They just dropped it. They were like, no, we're actually not doing that.
Oh yeah, they dropped a lot of stuff. It has been a while, and I'm sure this was written, you know, something happened through the writer's strike. I don't know, but...
Maybe. Yeah, maybe I was fine with it too, because I just didn't remember any of that from season 3.
Right. Yeah, I have my issues. So the first 3 or 4 episodes are fine. They're interesting. They go into so the big bad of this season is complicated.
Yeah, there's many of them. It kind of shifts.
Nick Offerman and Megan Mullally are here, which love to see them, as always.
They're always
amazing
great.
Work.
They're fun.
I adore them completely. Are they a little wasted? Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. However, there is one shot where Nick Offerman does like a little run where it's like when they're being introduced and they say, oh, we need to go to the bathroom. It just like a little jog. And that had me crying laughing. Oh my God.
They're
that
just
or his ice cream.
So good comedic actors. Oh my God. They're freaking hilarious, and they're a perfect duo. I love that they're married in real life. I love that they get to be stuff, because I saw them on screen and I was like, Ron and Tammy! Oh my God.
But now it's Gene and Gene.
Yeah, they're Gene and Gene Tribideau. They're both Dr. Gene Tribideau.
Mm-hmm.
Spelled differently, of course. Gene with a J and Gene with a G. And they run a cult called something. I don't know. I don't remember what it's called. But they run a cult which is like, we can remember being in a different timeline. This is not our original timeline. We find artifacts from alternate timelines as proof that this is not our original timeline, and we want to have a cleanse to get back to the original timeline. Right? That's the setup.
Which I really liked that whole setup. It was intriguing, and it made me want to know more.
Very interesting, okay? And part of that, their plan for a cleanse, is to find this girl called Jennifer. Now, if you're someone like me and not Max, who has recently rewatched The Umbrella Academy, you might remember the name Jennifer, because ever since season 2, they have been bringing up the Jennifer incident. Actually, I don't know if it was season 2. It might just be season 3. But
I don't remember that
original Flavor Ben's death has always been a mystery. They never said why he died. They never said anything about him, except for, I think they started in season 3 saying it was the you know, whatever happened with the Jennifer incident. They said, you know, everything with the Jennifer incident, and you died. And that's all they would say. And then there's one point where Victor goes into Ben's room at the Sparrow Academy, and there's a bunch of drawings of a girl, and the name underneath is Jennifer. Very intriguing, okay? What does it all mean?
So it is kind of tied in.
So it's tied in for sure. Did I like what they did with it? No. But we'll get there. Okay, so there's this girl, Jennifer, that they have to find. I think the way that the siblings got roped into it was interesting, to say the least. I mean, David Cross is there, and he kidnaps Victor and says, all of you siblings and Lila, come to come to this dry cleaning store. And
we need you together for the plot.
Yeah. And then he immediately lets Victor go, and they're like, he's like, okay, I didn't mean to kidnap him. I just wanted you all here to go rescue my daughter, Jennifer. So they're like, okay. They and then he has this container of powers, you know.
Right.
It's at first it seems very like, oh, that's very convenient. How do you have this container of magic powers for our main characters to have? But later it is revealed that David Cross is actually Abigail, who is Sir Reginald Hargreaves' wife, who is the reason that he rebooted the whole timeline in the first place. She was dead, and he wanted to bring her back to life. And that is the only reason he adopted these magic children, and the reason that he put that magic power out into the world anyway to create magic children. And yeah, anyway, Abigail is David Cross, and David Cross is, he wants the Umbrella Academy to get Jennifer, which is, oh my god, I can't believe I'm explaining all of this and you're not helping me at all. This is so complicated.
I'm just looking at you like you're doing great.
The crazy element that gives them all magic powers they named this season is called Marigold, and it infected their mothers and made them give birth immediately to these magic children. I
just called it magic goo. When the characters were deciding, like when Klaus was like, "Oh, should I drink the magic goo?" I was like, "Drink it."
It's called Marigold, and it was invented by Abigail. Abigail created this new element, but at the same time, it created another element called something else that I don't remember. And that element is what's inside Jennifer. And those two elements can never intermingle, because if they do, it will cause the end of the world.
Or they'll not like they'll turn into a fleshy version of the.
That's the setup. That's what happens at the end. But
that's what we know so far. Yes, we'll
they
get.
They cannot interact. So, do they ever explain why this element was in Jennifer? No. Do they ever explain why Jennifer was in the belly of a giant squid as a child? No. Do they ever explain why, in the first timeline, Jennifer was in a giant tube that Hargreaves sent his children to blow up? No. Why would Hargreaves go send his children to blow up this tube with this girl in it that if they interact with, they will destroy the world and any chance of him bringing his wife back to life? I don't know. Why didn't he just do it himself or send Pogo to do it?
Yeah, that's sending the wrong person to do the job.
It's a very stupid plan, Hargreaves. Okay? Very dumb. But, is any of that ever explained? No, absolutely not. What does happen is Ben lays eyes on Jennifer and they fall in love immediately somehow and they have sex and end the world, basically. That's basically what's happening.
Yeah.
It is not ideal, but okay, that's the main plot. Who's working on this main plot, you might ask? Ben?
You know,
and Victor, sort of, with their dad, with Daddy Hargreaves. Yeah. It's really just Ben and Victor doing that, and then everyone else is doing something else, and none of it matters.
Yep. Usually 5 is always kind of the one driving the plot, and then now he's just in a subway, in Neo's subway in Matrix 3 or something.
Okay. So hold on. So everyone got, when they took the marigold from the jar that Abigail / David Cross gave them, they get slightly new powers. They have basically the same power, but slightly different. Lila can still mimic, but now she has laser eyes also.
Yeah, where did that come from?
I don't know. Some of them are just the same. It's very stupid, okay? Because Luther is exactly the same. But for some reason, he gets his 8-body back, which doesn't make any sense because that 8-body is not from the marigold. It's from whatever serum their dad gave him when he almost died. So I don't get that. That doesn't make any sense. Diego's power is exactly the same. It's exactly the same.
Yeah. I mean, I guess some of it was more comic accurate. I didn't like Vic's new power. Like it
Victor's
was,
new power, I don't understand. Okay.
it wasn't even sound anymore.
Half of them they didn't explain at all. Okay? Victor's power used to be creating energy from sound, turning sound waves into energy. It was
Which is awesome. Yeah.
Which is why I was dying. I was like, they need to have Victor play the violin one last time in this last season. Come on. Just play the violin one more time. Use it as a weapon, because that was so sick. But they never did it. And I don't know if Victor's powers are still sound waves, because they never say. Now it just looks like he's shooting fire lasers out of him.
It's like a Captain Marvel energy blast. That's all it is.
And it sucks, and it's not as powerful. Also, his power used to control the weather too. It was super dope. It was the best power.
The scene where in the first season where he's freaking out, and then the light
and
post,
all the lamp posts,
they
and the
bend.
rain. Yeah.
Oh my God.
And then he calms down and the rain immediately stops, and he's like, that's a coincidence. It's so funny.
It's like, no. You're a god.
Yeah. No, it's literally the best power. I don't know why they changed it. It's dumb now. But whatever. Five's new power is he can still teleport. They show that later. It's purple now instead of blue. Yeah. The teleport color is purple now. But instead of teleporting through time, he can teleport through different timelines in the same moment in time. So he does that through teleporting to a subway, getting on a subway, riding a train to a next stop, walking out of the subway, and he's in a new timeline.
I probably missed it, but was it ever explained why he can only teleport to the subway?
In the very last 15 minutes of the episode, Lila's like, you can do it. You can teleport and not go to the subway. You can just teleport regularly. And he tries real hard and he does it. And it shows no effort, no training, no nothing. He just does it. So he can still teleport, but it just normally takes him, like instinctually takes him to the subway.
Okay. I mean, I feel like a lot of the mysteries in this final season, it's set up really well, where he initially teleports to the subway and it's like, oh my God, that's really intriguing. What is this? Mm-hmm. Where's the story going to go? And then it's not really wrapped up.
Okay, let me tell you what it seems like. We'll get back to the siblings and their powers in a second, but let me tell you what it seems like. It seems like they wrote the season for 10 episodes. Mm-hmm. And then halfway through production, they were like, no, we're only going to have 6 episodes. I'm not sure that that's what happened, but that's what it feels like watching it. Watching the first few episodes, it seems like normal Umbrella Academy setup. And then the last 2 or 3 episodes are just bonkers. You're like, what is happening? Nobody is doing anything.
Yeah. I mean,
Allison... Okay, go ahead.
Sorry, I was going to say, I don't even know if I necessarily agree. Like, I don't hate the fact that it was 6. At first, I was very worried, but it didn't bother me too much. But looking back on it, I can see how almost every single story was either not filled out or just not completed at all.
It just didn't... None of it tracked, okay? Allison, like... Her power was never explained, her new power. Her power used to be saying, I heard a rumor, and whatever it was would happen. Yeah, she would call it, she and all the people in interviews call it the power of suggestion. That's not what it is, because in season 2, in the opening scene of season 2, she says, I heard a rumor, I blew your mind, and people's head explodes. Her power is reality bending. Yeah, she can say something and reality. It becomes fact. Yeah, that's what her power is. And then at the end of season 3, something happens between her and Harlan and Victor, and her power gets magnified so that any commands she says, she doesn't need to say, I heard a rumor. She can say it and it will happen. But other than that, her power is very consistent. And then in this season, her power is now just my eyes glow and I have Stranger Things light flickering powers and I can use telekinesis, I guess. I guess that's her power now. Telekinesis.
So
I don't understand.
I didn't even think about this as I was watching the show, but now that we're talking about this, I can see how terrible this was. Just because her power in the first 3 seasons, you know what's going to happen because she has to verbally say it. So now if she thinks it, which I assume is what's happening, then it just happens.
Yeah,
but also,
she thinks it and it happens. But it's like
her having to open up her mouth and speak the words and say it, like speak the words, I heard a rumor, that kind of balances out the fact that she can change reality, because then if in a combat situation, she has to say the words.
Mm-hmm. Well, because otherwise she's just Wanda Maximoff and she can do anything.
And it's
that's
too powerful.
Not what her character is. That's not who Allison Hargreaves is. That's not what it is. And she needs that restraint on her power. Because otherwise, what's to stop her from going up against Victor? Who can end the world on a whim, you know? Like, it's and then Klaus's power is exactly the same. Not that he uses it for anything that matters. Like,
he does it for a side plot where he prostitutes himself with a lot of steps in between.
His side plot. Okay. I'm so sorry. I need to rant about this for a second. Klaus's side plot this season, he has absolutely nothing to do with the main plot. He starts out, he's afraid of germs, he's afraid of crossing the street, he's afraid of everything because he's not immortal anymore. Fine, that makes sense. Interesting. That's interesting place to start.
Yeah, and again, I was like, oh, okay, where is this going?
And he's been sober for 3 years. Mind you, they have been without their powers for 6 years at this point. He's been sober for 3 years. That's an accomplishment. He was also sober for 3 years in season 2, and then he relapsed, and then, you know, season 3 takes place in like 8 days. So, whatever. But his plot this season is he doesn't want to take his powers back because he thinks that it will mean he is not sober anymore.
Yeah,
it will mean that he goes back on drugs and alcohol. And no, I'm sorry. No. Klaus's whole arc in season 3 was figuring out how to not be afraid of his powers. That was his entire arc in season 3. He was with Daddy Hargreaves the whole time, working on how to not be afraid of ghosts and how to not be, how to, you know, come back from the dead quicker and be in control when he does, be in control of his powers. Because that version, the Sparrow version of Hargreaves was like, the other version of Hargreaves who raised you kept you all in the dark about your powers so that he could control you and wanted you to be afraid of your powers. And I want you to be in control of them. That was the whole point. He wasn't
those memories are coming
he
back
wasn't a
as
good
you're saying
guy.
it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
he wasn't a good guy by any means of the word because he killed Luther and Klaus in the end of that season. But he was trying to help him gain control of his powers. And that is what Klaus's whole arc was. He didn't need drugs and alcohol to control the ghosts because he wasn't afraid of them anymore. So what do they do in season 4? Instantly make him afraid again. Okay, he's afraid of something else, but why would he be afraid to take his powers back? He should know that he can control them now. And but then he does take his powers back and he immediately goes home and traumatizes Claire, Allison's daughter, and steals their TV in a very realistic and unwelcome scene about, you know, having a family member who is addicted to drugs. And that was that was very triggering for me. I didn't enjoy it. And it was like, but why? He hasn't taken any drugs at this point. He doesn't want to take drugs. He is just like, he's doing it because he thinks he has to, because he has his powers back now, which doesn't make any sense with anything from last season or season 2, because season 2, his whole thing was he needed to get sober so that he could use his powers to make his sex cult. that was his whole thing. He was sober for 3 years.
Yeah.
And then he relapsed one time because, for a realistic reason, because the guy he loved punched him in the face in a homophobic way.
And just rejected him.
Yeah, well, not rejected him. He was young. He wasn't, like, coming on to him. He was trying to save his life. It was confusing.
What? I'm remembering it now, but wasn't... It was like the dad was pressuring him into it.
His uncle was pressuring him to, and he was like, hit the queer, and he hit him, and it was very upsetting, you know?
But that
was a realistic reason for someone to relapse after being sober for 3 years. And then the next season, he wasn't even, like, he was drinking a little bit because he was still in his relapse, but again, that's only like 8 days later. That's like within the same month for him.
And now they flash forward past his... progression. And I thought that it was really weird, of all of those choices, that Klaus doesn't even get to choose for himself to take the magic goo. It's just given to him by someone else.
None of them chose to take it except for Ben. But
I thought that was all weird choices, that no one got to choose.
It was. I don't understand why they did that. Like,
yeah.
Also, just like the rest of Klaus's arc. I mean, if you can call it that. It was not an arc.
It was just a side adventure.
It was just and it was awful. He just went to this drug dealer who he knew he owed money to, and he wanted him to kill him. He wanted him to shoot him in the head, and I thought that would be explored a little bit. Why is he suddenly want to be killed? Does he want to test his powers? Is he suicidal? What's the deal with that? Does he want to go back to the void for some reason? Why does he want to do that? Not explained at all. Immediately, that guy realizes Klaus can come back to life. He puts him in a cage, and he says, "You are now a prostitute for me, and you have to summon ghosts and be a prostitute." And it was like, what?
This terrible, 80s villain just hijacks his dramatic arc, if you could even call it that. It was
just really disappointing. Klaus is one of my favorite characters, and he's very complex. And that was just really upsetting. And his whole arc is like, he tries to get money to pay off his debt and to get more drugs, but then he gets buried in a grave. Oh no, so sad. and then Allison digs him up. It's so boring. It sucks. And he never uses his power for... It's so predictable. He never uses his powers for anything of importance. Like, when he summoned that dead dog, when he was in the grave of a dead dog, he summoned the dead dog. I thought, it's a dog. Get the dog to dig you out of the grave that you're buried in. That's the smart thing. He didn't do that.
No.
And then, don't even get me started on 5. I cannot.
I feel like there's not much to talk about other than 5 and Lila and the finale and the weird VFX that happens there. But let's talk about 5 and Lila first.
Start with 5. Okay. Yeah. So, 5's power is now going between timelines. Fine. Interesting. You could have done a lot with that. But what do they do?
The subway's cool.
They get him and Lila to get on a subway. They go over to the original timeline, the apocalypse, where 5 lived for 45 years. Okay, cool. They try and go back. The train skips their station, and they go somewhere else, and they get lost in timelines.
And that initial montage where it skips over years, loved that. That was really cool, because I was looking at those two and I was like, these are 2 fun characters to get lost and to have this platonic adventure. That's really interesting and fun to watch for 3 minutes.
As soon as the montage started, I knew they were not going to keep it platonic. I was like, God fucking damn it.
I had my hopes.
They are going to do a romance. And it was just... okay.
You know what? 5? It was in the montage. Sorry, the moment that like Lila leaned on 5, I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
No.
Well,
please,
okay.
God, no.
5 and Lila are interesting characters. They are. And they're interesting together because what did we learn in season 2, folks? 5 killed Lila's parents. 5 orphaned Lila. And 5 is the reason that Lila... I mean, it's not 5's fault. It's the handler's fault. But
he pulled the
Lila
trigger.
grew up as an assassin in the commission, which it's also revealed in season 3 that 5 created. A future version of 5 created the commission.
I did not remember that. Holy crap.
Lila's whole life was centered around 5, you know, to a certain extent. That's interesting. And 5 is, you know, emotionally stunted old man in a child's body. And
in a
also
child's
very
body.
Interesting.
Let's remember
Who doesn't understand empathy because he's lived alone in an apocalypse for 45 years. Okay? That's interesting. And he desperately craves love and to be with his family. And, you know, that could have been very interesting if the whole point of the last 2 seasons of the whole character arc for Lila and Diego of the last 2 seasons was that Lila and Diego work as a couple. The whole 3rd season is trying to sell you on why Lila and Diego are a good couple and why they will work as parents.
Yeah, I don't even know if I was sold at that point, but I still think that they're a better couple than 5 and Lila. Jesus.
And it's just like, okay, watching that montage, watching 5 start to give up, like, I understand, like, they should have vocalized his feelings better. Because if he goes, this is the 2nd time I've been lost in time. This is the, you know, 5th time one of my family members has caused an apocalypse or something has happened that is our fault. And in all of these timelines, it's bad.
He thought that he was done with it.
Right, and he would thought that he was done with it. He had 6 years of peace, and then he starts to give up again. I get that. They should have vocalized it better, but I get it. But 5's whole motivation for the last 3 seasons has always been, I want to save my family.
Right.
That's what it's always been. He wants to save the world, yes, but he wants to save his family.
Honestly, I don't believe he cares about the world. He just cares about his family.
Well, clearly the end speaks differently, but we'll get there.
Yeah, we'll get there.
He doesn't, like, he gives up, and his first thought is, let me sleep with my brother's wife? What? And it's just, not even sleep with, it's fall in love with my brother's wife.
Yeah, like,
and
build a life together.
Maybe you didn't have, like, control over, you know, falling for each other. You're the only 2 people there, whatever. But it was just, first of all, in the audience's eyes, Aidan Gallagher is a child. Aidan Gallagher, the actor playing 5, he's 20 years old now. When this show started, he was, 14?
Mm-hmm. And everyone still sees him as that 14-year-old.
Everyone still sees him as a child. and I know that he's playing an old man inside of a child's body.
Yes.
But he still looks like a child. And the audience sees him as a child. Okay? And to pair this child with an adult actress who has been on the show for 2 seasons already and who has an established relationship with another adult character who is this child's brother is so wild to me.
It's
like,
so strange.
What? And okay, fine. They chose to do that and they commit, and I thought they were going to commit to it. I was like, fine. You know what? This show is weird. We'll let it be. We'll commit to it.
Yeah, we'll see where it goes.
2 scenes later for them, Lila's like, okay, no, we're not doing this anymore. I'm going home to my family. What? It was so weird and annoying and frustrating, and not weird in the good way that the show usually is. I didn't
And
understand it.
The whole thing felt like it was
It was
I don't
so
know.
rushed. All
Yeah,
of it was so rushed.
it was rushed and inconsequential, and also I feel like the point of it was that they were just the only two people there, so they obviously just hit it off, but then they didn't really use anything with that. They didn't drive any emotional stake
Yeah.
home.
It didn't matter at all
Yeah.
because, I mean, like, spoiler alert, they all die. I mean, we've been spoiling it the whole time. But, like, at the end, like, nothing, this plot point did not add anything to the plot, to the story, you know? Like, there was no reason for this plot point to be added. And I think, like, at the end, when Lila chooses to go back to Diego, Five gets really sad, and the family is all fighting for their lives against the big monster that Ben and Jennifer turn into, and he just dips. Five just goes to the subway and rides it to, and like, I'm like, excuse me? That was ridiculous. And then they play, oh my God, it was so annoying. They do a little flashback montage of showing all the times he was falling in love with Lila. And I was like, this was one episode ago. Don't do that. Second of all,
Yeah.
no, that's not more important to Five than the world. This is Five we're talking about. He was alone in the apocalypse for 45 years, and he did everything he could to save the world. But now he's just giving up on the world because the girl he likes went back to his brother. Oh no. It pissed me off so fucking much. That's not in Five's character at all. He just rides the subway and he finds a deli full of other Fives from other timelines who have all given up because they know that their family always causes the end of the world.
You know, I did like that in concept.
Okay, now we're getting into the, like, actual, how the show actually ends, and I'll say this. It was the best part of the season. I absolutely liked that. How the show ends is they are like, okay, this magic goop, this marigold that infected our mothers with us and created us, is not normal. This is not natural. This is the problem. We are the problem. Just by existing, we cause the end of the world. So we need the monster that is now Jennifer and Ben to absorb our marigold so that the elements will cancel each other out and destroy all timelines.
Could have been set up
better,
but in concept,
it could have been set up way better. It should have been set up way before the last 15 minutes of the last episode of the series.
Oh my God, yes.
That that was annoying, but it was a good ending. Except Ben. we don't get to have a final moment with Ben. We don't get to have a final moment with the Sparrow Ben, who, let's be honest, none of us really care about. But original Ben, our Ben, who we've seen for, 2 seasons, the first 2 seasons, that Ben, he, went to the afterlife with, when he saved Victor, but in season 2, but we never get to see him again, and we don't get to see him in that circle. In the last stand that they make, they all stand in a circle, and it's just hard to not notice that Ben is missing and he doesn't get to be there. And that really sucks for the character of Ben, because, like, I don't know. It's revealed earlier in the season that the way that Ben died was that he touches Jennifer to save her from the explosion that they're going to blow her up, and Hargreaves shoots them both in the head.
Which was wild.
and his father kills him as a 13-year-old child, which, yeah, wild, crazy. Okay, very
Absolutely.
in character for Hargreaves. I liked it. Did they
Nope.
explore it at all? No, they just stuck Victor in a car with him for the next 2 episodes and said, "There you go. You guys work out your issues." Excuse me?
Anytime
I'm
that
sorry.
Victor tried to, like, I don't know, talk about that, he was just like, no, that wasn't me. That was a different Reginald.
That wasn't me. That was another guy. That was a different guy. That wasn't me. And it's like,
can we at least talk about it?
But like,
just to, get it off my chest.
It was so not good. Like, if his only purpose,
I enjoyed it, but honestly, talking about it with you, I'm now realizing just how bad it was. There is one note that I had. Sorry, you go, and then I'll say my note.
I was gonna say, here's the ideal way to watch The Umbrella Academy. The show. You watch seasons 1 through 3, and then you stop, and then you watch the last 15 minutes of episode 406, and that's it. That's all you watch. Because otherwise, you have to deal with this last season. And it really pissed me off. And I hate saying that so much because I love all of the actors. I love this show so much. I love the story and the world that it creates. But it's just not the same. Like, what happened? Did their entire creative team change or something? Because even the camera work is not as good. The script and the fight scenes. I'm sorry. The choreography for the fight scenes this season has nothing compared to the others. Are you kidding? It was bad. I don't know what happened.
I don't even know. I don't know. But my one note was that the little newsreel of the little girl getting out of the squid, I thought that maybe even with a restructure of the whole show, which is much more difficult, but put that as a cold open for the entire season, like episode 1, and treat that as more of the mystery behind the whole show. I feel like that would have been so much better.
Yeah, have it mean something. Have it mean something. Why was she in there? How did she even get that particle in there? Was she hatched by this squid? I don't understand. Nobody told us anything. They didn't explain it. Like, Abigail just says this particle is in Jennifer. Okay, how? Why? Was it in this? Did it create this squid? Did this squid give birth to her? Why is this happening? They don't explain a goddamn thing.
Yeah, some things should be left ambiguous, but this is just entirely unexplained.
It just didn't work for me, and I'm very sad about it because the end did make me cry. The end, not where they all die, because it almost did, and then the script ruined it. The script was really not good in those last moments, and the whole time I was like, "Where's Ben?" This is really disrespectful, not just to Ben as a character, to Justin, the actor. He's been here since episode 1, season 1, and Lila gets to be in this circle and not Ben? Are you kidding?
Right.
That sucks.
But yeah.
But
Umbrella Academy, fantastic show. Not a great final season.
Not a great final season,
really, unfortunately. But there have also been a couple more shows that have come out. It's been a little bit since they've wrapped up, but we still want to talk about them.
And they actually had good
The Boys season 4 and The Acolyte. Which one do you want to talk about first?
Let's start with The Boys.
I mean, as always, The Boys is a little too real at times. It shines a light on our real world, and it's very well written, but it's very depressing at times. But it's also entertaining TV, and I love it, every minute of it, even the gross stuff.
Mm-hmm. It's very disgusting. There's some things that I'm like, why did you have to do that? Did you really have to do that? Like, for example, the episode in the sex torture basement where Huey's in disguise. Did that need to happen? No, I don't think so. I think they could have got their point across without doing any of that. because the real plot was going on upstairs with the cabal of rich people.
And they just needed something shocking in that
planning
episode.
Yeah, and I didn't like that. But the rest of it, I mean, it's a very good season of television. The Boys never misses. I'm really happy that a bunch of neo-Nazis are getting offended by The Boys
Yes.
because they should be.
Wait a minute, this is making
like,
fun of me. Yeah, it's
they're
always
like, oh,
been.
The Boys is all of a sudden woke and saying all these things and being mean to me. And it's like, no, it was doing that the whole time. People who think Homelander is like a role model, someone to wear shirts of, those people are scary. Get away from them. Like, Homelander is very clearly the villain.
Instant
Nobody
red
should
flag.
ever be emulating him.
Yeah. But it's a lot of terrible characters. Most of the characters are terrible, but it's still a really entertaining show. I have no idea where they're going to go in season 5, which is confirmed to be the last season. Because Butcher,
well, at the end,
he's got some...
Only
he's got Ben's
Butcher
tentacles.
and Annie are free. He's got Ben. Yeah, well, but everyone got arrested except for Butcher and Annie.
Mm-hmm. I don't know.
They're the only ones out on the town, so that'll be something. That'll be interesting. I hope they put them in the same prison as the kids from Gen X.
Oh my God, yes. We'll probably get season 2 of Gen V before season 5.
Is it Gen V? Did I say Gen X? Oh, damn.
I thought you were just making a joke.
No, I messed up. That was an accident.
Isn't there an X-Men show called Generation X or something like that?
Yes, there is. It was a cartoon in the 90s, wasn't it? Or is it a new one?
I was even thinking of a live-action one from the 90s, like a really bad live-action show.
I have no idea.
There's definitely a lot of bad X-Men live-action shows, but that's not what we're talking about. I did think... I made the note because I thought it was hilarious, where Firecracker is making her little recording and she's saying the CIA is attacking her, and then she shows proof, which is just a cardboard cutout of Tony Shalhoub. That was great.
Yeah,
I think it was from Marvelous Miss Maisel.
Yeah, it was. It was so funny. I was like, hey, they're cross-promoting.
Oh, fantastic.
That was pretty funny. Yeah, crazy show. If you want to have a bad time, watch that show. Not like a bad time watching it. It's a great show. A bad time thinking about our world.
Yes.
And people in general. That's it. That's the show to watch.
But The Acolyte is so much more fun. I don't think this show is perfect. I think it's even bad at times. But my goodness, this show got so much undeserved hate. And because of that, I am now a stan for The Acolyte. Yeah,
you know what? Me too. It got hate because, oh no, there's people of color in Star Wars.
Oh, whoop-de-doo.
Well, like, Star Wars fans are so fucking toxic.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Like, calm the fuck down. Why do you care so much?
Right.
It was interesting. It was an interesting show, to say the least. I liked it.
It had something to say.
It's very interesting.
That's my favorite thing about it.
It had... Finally, I've been begging for one for years, a new group of Force users that we actually get to understand and humanize, okay? It had witches, and they're so interesting.
I love seeing
wish we
witches in Star
more
Wars.
Time with them. They were cool. And they weren't the witches from, oh my god, I almost said
Dathomir.
Kosha. What's
Ahsoka?
her name? Ahsoka, there.
I think they might have mentioned Dathomir, but there was a Darth Maul looking one, and we gotta talk about her.
Those witches were in Ahsoka. I mean, they're different witches.
Yeah,
they're not the same.
Different sect.
But they were different witch coven. They were in Ahsoka, but they were the villains. They were never humanized. We never got to figure out any of their motivations or anything about them. These witches are people. They live in a coven. The main one is a mother, and that's what drives her the most. She's the mother of the main characters.
Honestly, just the whole matriarch society. Names? Osha and May.
Osha and May. Thank you. It's been a minute since I watched the show. But Yeah, Osha and May are, and they're interesting too because they are the epitome of what I've always wanted to see from Force users. They are not black and white Sith or Jedi. They are complicated and interesting, and they go back and forth between the light and the dark side, and I love that. Oh my God.
I think there's a technical term for it, but there are gray Jedi, and that's what I thought this was kind of setting up. Even though the main mystery of this whole show, which I loved, was the revealing what actually happened this one night on whatever planet they were on with the Witch Coven. Like, how did they all die? I still don't think we know all the information.
And it was so interesting because the guy who we think is the hero the whole time, whatever his name is,
God, I love Soul.
He was great. First of all, 10 out of 10 actor.
Oh
incredible, brought a lot to the part. And it was really interesting to see, like, the fallacy of, seeing your own importance, because he truly believed that he was in the right.
Yep.
And he was doing the right thing, even after he killed their mother and caused the death of their entire community, their entire family.
And he believes that because he's just convinced himself over and over and over again that, no, this was the thing that needed to be done. And maybe he's convinced himself that because he just doesn't want to hurt.
Well, I think it started, he convinced himself, he so thoroughly believes the Jedi are right. These children don't belong anywhere but with the Jedi. The Jedi are what's right. Everything else is wrong.
Yep.
I know best. You don't know how to raise your own child.
Right.
That's what he believes. Which
is the whole idea of the Jedi in general.
Exactly. The Jedi always know best, do they? I don't think they do. I personally, fuck the Jedi. Fuck the Jedi. Yeah. We don't stand the Jedi. Am I a Sith supporter? Absolutely not. But not Jedi.
But if you hear that and you get angry, I don't understand, because the prequels are not good, but they have the singular message of the Jedi are not good, at least not all the time. They are very flawed individuals. And that's been George Lucas's whole philosophy about it for decades now.
It has. Because, so I've heard George Lucas and Dave Filoni and a bunch of people talk about the Force and how they see the Force. And I think the thing that people don't take away from those conversations enough is that they're talking about the Force. They are not talking about the Jedi. Right. They are talking about the raw energy of the universe. Balance.
Which is what it is.
That's what they are talking about. They are not saying that this man-made entity, the Jedi, and this man-made entity, the Sith, are all good or all bad. They are fallible because they are not... They're not. Because how could they not be? They are created. They're created by flawed creatures. We're all flawed creatures, so of course they're fallible. They're not the indescribable thing that is the Force, always being good, always being right. They live by these principles that they made up. Right. Nobody told them that they have to do this to use the Force. They're Force users no matter if they follow these principles or not. There's always going to be Force users for Jedi and Sith, like that broom kid from that other one,
The Last Jedi.
The Last Jedi. Why can't I think of any names today? All I've got is my anger for the Umbrella Academy season.
That's why I'm here,
and nothing else. The Last Jedi, like Broom Kid shows that if you don't want to think about The Last Jedi because you're a baby, fine. Think of Anakin Skywalker was, like, not, like, okay, maybe he was created by Emperor Palpatine in the comics. There's proof of that, whatever. But that's not, like, fully solidified in the movie canon. And if you just take him out of, everything, he's a naturally occurring thing from the Force. that would have happened if there was an Order of Jedi or not.
Right.
Or if there was an Order of Sith or not, you know? If Palpatine didn't create him. If Palpatine created him, fine, whatever. Then to put that same principle on Luke and Leia, you know? They are... And the Force has always had such an interesting thing about two sides and balance, and that plays so well with twins that they never really dove into with Luke and Leia. So that's why it's really interesting to have the Acolyte. And this is a similar situation, but they go way deeper into the repercussions of the Force.
And the balance, the push and pull of that, and the way that they play with them being twins, not just being able to physically change, but their emotional switches from one side to the other. I loved all of that. And even, oh my God, I feel like the whole show, like I talked about how it's a mystery and you're trying to find out what happened to all these witches. But I feel like the show was really building up to Osha. I think it was Osha. I don't know. But her bleeding a lightsaber, I loved that so much.
Oh my God.
It was incredible.
To see that for real, like in a film or on screen, that was so cool. That has never been on screen before. And
it was in a video game I played
really
recently.
Awesome.
But yeah, we haven't seen it.
I don't count that. I don't play video
I do.
games.
I count it, goddammit. But no, not in any TV show or movie. This was the first time.
It was really sick.
And the way she ignited it and the red slowly went out. Oh, chef's kiss.
Oof.
Incredible. I don't know how anyone can look at that and not like it.
Yeah, no, it was really cool. And it was not just her actions that caused it. It was her sister's previous actions that also caused it. Because there's a whole thing going through the show that they're the same person. Just split in two, you know, very interesting.
Which we need a season
I just thought of this
to talk about more.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And I just thought of this right now. But do you think that is Luke and Leia also? Or not?
You know, that could be.
Like a Force creation? Like, I mean, they didn't have a father. They were like Anakin. They were created from the Force by their mother, but they were created, what is it called, from a convergence, a Force convergence?
I think that's what they called it.
They were calling it
something like that.
That's what they are. And you know, if that's how you create a child, then without, you know, not biologically creating one, then that is probably similar to how Anakin was created with a Force convergence. And if that is the case, then couldn't a Force convergence being create, you know, two more of those suckers?
Probably.
I don't know. It's interesting. It's interesting to think about. I just thought of it right now, so it's probably not a well-baked
It's something
theory,
there, though.
But
you know,
it's interesting, and the fact that Star Wars always comes back to twins, to two sides of a coin, to...
So what does George Lucas always say? Like, it's always a tone poem or something? He likes his
poetry.
twos.
It repeats.
Yeah. He loves his twos. But
a tone poem.
I think that's what he said.
I love it.
But
I love it.
In this show, there's also some incredible choreography. Probably the best lightsaber combat that we have ever seen.
Yeah. Oh my God. Okay. Step back, Umbrella Academy Season 4 choreographer. Okay. The Acolytes fight choreography is so awesome.
Do you know who
it's really
who did
good.
it? Who did all the choreography?
No, who?
I'll say his name just because it's something that's been popping up a lot lately. Christopher Clark Cohen. He did a bunch of really cool YouTube stuff that you can check out, but which is awesome that he started out on YouTube.
I heard that. I heard somebody said he was a YouTuber who was doing lightsaber choreography,
and I want to say,
and they hired him.
He got his big break doing Shang-Chi, which is incredible. But yeah, he did this too, and hire him for everything. I love him and his stunt team. I should clarify.
Yeah. Where's Shang-Chi gone? He just hasn't been there since his movie
give him a
came out.
sequel, goddammit. But that's for another day.
the MCU's got too much going on. I can't talk about it.
Yes.
Right now.
We'll have an episode about the MCU because RDJ's back, but we'll talk about it later. I also loved Cortosis shorting out the lightsabers. That was badass. Him headbutting a lightsaber.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
There was really a lot to love in this series, you know.
Plagueis,
at
awesome.
first I didn't start wanting to watch it. I didn't have the drive to watch it because I've just been so burnt out on Star Wars.
I get it.
And I've been burnt out on Marvel too, you know? These franchises, when they keep putting more and more stuff in that you have to watch, and so much of it is bad, and I don't want to watch it, it's just making me, you know, not excited for it.
Yeah.
But I was very happy to be excited about The Acolyte. I started it because you made me, frankly.
I was like, Sasha, watch this.
And you know what? I don't regret that. I thank you for it because it was very good. Will I be watching the next one that comes out? Probably not.
Skeleton Crew
but
or something?
Actually, I have to watch it. My roommate worked on it.
Oh.
Okay, I have to watch Skeleton Crew. But after that, I might not watch the rest of it. But I'll definitely watch Andor season 2 whenever that comes out.
Yes.
And you know, I'm going to watch the stuff that excites me, and I'm not going to watch the stuff that doesn't.
And that's okay.
Okay? I don't want to have to watch Secret Invasion again. I hated that. That was a bad experience.
No, don't make me.
I don't want to do that. And, you know, it's just like, at this point with these extended universes, it's time to pick and choose, in my opinion.
And
I cannot keep it up.
That's the way that it really should be. Like, obviously, it's fun and it's, you know, it gives more to the audience or the audience member who's seen everything in the big endgame style movies. But just watch whatever you want to watch. And also, don't hate on something because it has a black woman in it. What's wrong with you?
They were hating on it because there's a black woman starring in it. They're hating on it because... And also, I feel so bad for that actress because I think her name is Amanda something. I don't know.
She was Rue in the Hunger Games.
She was Rue in the Hunger Games, and she got so much hate for that as a child, too. And it's like, people need to shut the fuck up. This is ridiculous.
And
that actress doesn't deserve anything but praise.
Yeah,
She's
she was
giving an incredible performance. And, like... This is ridiculous. This is a show where there's blue people and aliens and robots, and you're so upset because there's a black person starring in it.
What the hell?
Shut the fuck up. Grow up, pricks.
Also, this is entirely unrelated, but we're talking about the cast, and it just got me thinking about it. But do you know who plays Jackie?
Jackie, the girl?
Yeah.
The Padawan? No.
I don't know the actress's name, but that's X-23.
What? No way.
Yeah.
Her name's Daphne.
Daphne
name's
Keane.
Wait,
yeah.
Really?
Yep. Which is awesome.
Oh my god, I had no idea. I thought, okay, I didn't know that. Wait, I think they're non-binary then. Because
really?
all I knew about the actress playing that character was that, or the actor playing them was non-binary. That's all I knew. Let me look it up. Hold on, keep talking about something.
But yeah, everything about the lightsaber combat, and I thought about Jackie instantly because she has a really, really cool moment where she's just spinning and doing... Honestly, it looked like Ahsoka in animation. Fantastic. And even before then, there is a couple reveals with, Khmer, the stranger or whatever new Sith they had, where he pulls off his robes. And I mean, there's the reveal that it's him, which it was obvious. I did have the thought that it could have been the Darth Maul looking mom. Maybe that could have been the Sith, but no, it was the guy from The Good Place.
Which Darth Maul looking mom? Oh,
the one who was paired up with. Yeah, I thought that she could have been.
I think she was just their mom. I thought she was just another witch. Did you know that Abigail? What's her last name? The girl who's Philosophy Tube on YouTube.
No.
She was in The Acolyte.
What?
She was one of the witches.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
What the hell?
Yeah. No, it was sick.
But also,
I saw her and I was like, oh my god, it's Abigail.
I gotta finish my thought because there was another reveal with the Sith guy, and that was how ripped he was. His arms and his veins were bugging out. Oh my god. Incredible. Almost better than the fight scenes.
I'm sorry. You mean Jason Mendoza from The Good Place, the love of my life? Oh my god.
Bortles.
He was crazy. Bortles. I'm so sorry. He's never gonna live that down. No. I love it, but he'll never escape Jason Mendoza.
He did a really good job in this show. And like he had his threatening and serious moments, but I still see him as Jason.
He's so good as a Sith. He's really interesting. He's the first Sith that I've ever wanted to know anything more about.
I side with him. I want to know
everything. I side with him. He's so interesting. He's cool. He's chill. He's nice to Osha. Mm-hmm. He's not super nice to May, but he's nice to Osha. And I like him a lot. I do.
We
I
need
love
a season
villain,
2.
But also, I just love him. He's great.
Mm-hmm.
I can't get out of this stupid thing. It was loading. Sorry. Okay. I don't think Daphne is non-binary. I mean, it doesn't say anything about that in their profile. I think maybe the character was non-binary.
Well, either way, it's
but
a cool
again, I don't know, but I know that people were mad about something.
Yeah.
And that's...
They'll find something dumb to be mad at. But this show's really fun.
Always.
If you somehow haven't watched it and you still listen to us spoil everything about it, check it out.
What are you doing?
That and the boys.
What are you doing with your life?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But with that...
Oh, his name is Khmer.
It's like Quimir.
Quimir, but there's no U, so I don't know how to read it. There's no U after the Q, so I don't understand. But yeah, Manny Jacinto is great. He's excellent in the show. As is Amanda Stenberg. I'm looking at the cast, so I know all their last names now. Daphne Keane, that's their last name. Keane. That's sick. I had no idea that they were playing.
I think it was after a couple episodes I recognized her because I was staring at her makeup just because it's not great.
I did not. I just saw a white face and I was like, gone. No recognition at all. Alien makeup.
That's fair.
I can't recognize anyone through alien makeup.
But with that, let's move on to the next segment, the consumption corner, where we're just starved for content. So, Sasha, what have you been consuming?
I feel really full at this point.
Yeah,
actually.
We've been kind of talking about everything we've been consuming lately. But is there anything else?
I finally finished a book that I have been meaning to read for so long.
Okay.
I don't know if I talked about it previously, but it's called This Is How You Lose the Time War.
Yes, you have talked about it because I purchased this book. I don't have it yet.
Yay!
It's coming on the way.
Yay. Okay. So good. One of the most interestingly written books I've ever read. I love the prose. The way that it's written is just... It's like poetry. It's so good. And it's just a touching, beautiful story.
Oh my god. I need to read this.
It's sci-fi and it's weird. It's great.
Everything about it sounds incredible. It's right up my alley.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I finally finished it. I went to the beach and I was like, I will not leave this hot place until I finish this book.
But
what about you?
I haven't, other than like, the Umbrella Academy, Acolyte Boys, that's kind of it. I plan to get into a lot of Alien stuff in the next week or so because I think it's Fede Alvarez is doing the new movie. Looks incredible. I cannot wait to see it. We'll probably have to talk about it unless you don't like horror.
I cannot watch those alien movies. I cannot watch any movie where something burrows into you and then explodes out of you. I hate that. I can't watch them. It gives me terrible nightmares. I really, really hate it. I can't.
I've never been a fan of body horror. Like, that's what really gets me. But I love horror in general. I mean, some body horror, if it's done right, like The Thing, incredible. But sometimes it's just torture porn.
I think I've talked about it before, but my thing is like bodily autonomy. If I have like some creature
yeah,
like gets you, I can't,
and
I don't like that.
that's the whole
Like,
horror behind Alien and the HR
yeah,
Geiger design.
I can't watch any of those movies. The closest I've ever come to watching Alien is that one scene in Spaceballs when they parody Alien, and the alien
Hello,
comes
my
out and
honey.
singing, "Hello, my baby, hello,
Yeah.
my honey." Yeah, it's great.
Everyone remembers that. But I mean, I'll definitely watch.
Or Just Us, because our grandfather made us watch Spaceballs about 100 times.
Strangely, he loves that movie. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I'll definitely watch the first two Alien movies. There's a comic that I want to revisit. I think it's called there's actually a couple. There's one, I'm blanking on the name, but it's about this religious guy stuck in just an area with an alien, and it talks about God a lot, and I just like that kind of very serious tone. And there's another one called Alien Labyrinth. It's again just an alien in a space, and everyone's got to survive. But from what I know, it's really good. I haven't checked that one out, but I really want to.
It sounds interesting. I mean, I'll let you talk about it. I'll listen. I'll love to listen. I just can't watch the movie. I'm sorry.
I get it. But Alien's just so good. I'll probably bring it up in our next episode, because I think it comes out next week.
Everyone who is not Max, who has watched the first 2 seasons of Interview with the Vampire, the best teaser trailer I've ever seen in my entire life for season 3 came out during Comic-Con.
Okay.
And it needs to be worshipped as it deserves. It needs to be properly talked about, which we will as soon as you finish it.
Honestly, I was even going to suggest maybe our next episode we talk about some of the Marvel specific stuff that happened in Comic-Con, because I have strange feelings about what they're doing.
Yeah. We can talk about that.
Awesome.
We can talk about it.
And maybe by then I will have wrapped up with Interview with the Vampire, because maybe that's a show that I have been watching. But we'll talk about that later.
Maybe. I don't know.
But Sasha, do you have something funny to say? I can't think of anything.
This has been an Upside Down Umbrella podcast.
Good. Whatever cult that was.
Cult? Oh, yeah.
And now, 8 minutes of Sasha's live audio recording of her watching the final season of Umbrella Academy.
Okay, I'm watching episode 5 of Umbrella Academy season 4 right now, and I'm so baffled and kind of pissed off, honestly. Like, there's only 6 episodes in this season. I am 47 minutes into episode 5. So there's only like 10 minutes left. And 11 minutes, but there's credits, whatever. And this second to last episode of the whole show has fucking nothing to do with anything else. Like, what? Like, okay, this season has been a little weird, but I was giving them the benefit of the doubt. I really was enjoying myself last night. The first 4 episodes were fun, but then I realized that there's only 6 episodes and there's only 2 more. And we haven't done anything. Like, we haven't resolved any arcs from previous seasons. None of the family is together, and there's only 2 out of 8 main characters doing stuff toward the main plot of the show. Klaus is fucking off doing whatever his fucking arc is. I don't understand okay, this is making me really mad. The whole thing about Klaus. I can go on forever about it. But what the hell is his arc? I don't understand at all. And he's doing whatever the fuck he's doing. Allison fucked off from the main plot too to go find Klaus and rescue him with Claire. And I'm glad that Claire is being an actual character after, 3 seasons of Allison's motivation being Claire. But, like, what the hell? Okay, Luther and Diego are just shitting around at the CIA having an awful fight scene. Literally, that was some of the worst choreography I've ever seen for a fight scene in Umbrella Academy. Umbrella Academy is so known for its super fun and well choreographed fight scenes, and this one was such a disappointment, let me tell you. You know, Five's getting stuck in another, timeline shenanigans, and they're going on trains between timelines, and Five and Lila get stuck there for 7 years and fall in love. And what? And then Five, halfway through the 7th year, finds a way home, and he keeps it from Lila for 5 months, even though she has 3 fucking children that she wants to get back to, and he knows that. What the hell? Also, it's really uncomfortable, the relationship between Five and Lila. And this is so messy. And it's just not interesting. Meanwhile, Victor and Hargreaves are just in the car for the whole episode. There's 3 scenes with them the whole time. They're in the car, then they get to the hotel, and then Victor calls Ben, and then Ben is angry about it, and then they're back in the car, and I'm like, Lila and Five have lived 7 years within this episode, and you're in the car. What is happening? This feels so disjointed, so bad. I need to look up the creative team. What changed? I know that it's been a while, and they probably wrote this through a writer's strike and all that stuff, but they've had time. They have had time. Why is it like this? I don't understand. This needed more time. What the hell? I'm almost a quarter into the last episode. Nobody knows that the world is ending except Victor and Daddy Hargreaves. What's his name? Reginald. Literally, only Victor and Reginald are doing anything about the end of the world. We don't know anything about Abigail's motivations. She's super weird, and I love Nick Offerman and Megan Mullally, but I can't help but feel like they're kind of wasted because this doesn't track at all. It doesn't make sense. Nothing makes sense. I know I'm only a little bit I'm only 15 minutes into this episode, but still, it's really pissing me off. The rest of the family is all at Diego and Lila's house having Christmas dinner or whatever the fuck, and Lila has just gotten back from 7 years of being away. This needed more fucking time. Okay, I'm gonna keep watching. 26 minutes into the finale, the rest of the family is joining the main plot. 26 minutes in. Jesus fucking Christ. This is so disappointing. Nothing about this is consistent with the rest of the show. The CGI is horrible. I don't understand any of the villains' motivations, anyone else's motivation. What is happening? This show was so good. Is the creative team entirely different? Even the blocking and the camera work, and it's just bad. It's just not good. I feel so awful saying that because I love this show. This is one of my favorite shows ever. Rewatching the first 3 seasons these past few days in preparation for this one was some of the most fun I've ever had watching TV. It's so fun. I got up and danced along every single time they had a weird dance montage, and every time there was a fight scene with a really cool dance. Why is it like this? Oh, God. Sorry, this doesn't make any sense for Five's character. Are you kidding me? Oh, my God. Okay. I really liked the concept of the finale, of the very end. I really liked the concept of that. And I'm watching the credits right now, and they're making me cry because of all the pictures. But
was weird. It was a weird season, and it was only 6 episodes. And I really, really love this show so much. And I'm crying, so. Okay, now that I'm sort of done crying. Not really, but, mostly. I think that the optimal way to watch The Umbrella Academy, the show, is to watch seasons 1 through 3 and then to stop and to watch the last 10 minutes of episode 406. And that's it. That's it. You don't need to watch anything else in that season. None of it matters. Okay, that's all that matters. You won't get to see Ben, really, but you'll know that he's there, kind of. Is it optimal? No, but that is preferred. That is definitely the way. Ugh.